The gang member Asians or just
So
in general?
before I watched
No.
Carrie get stabbed when I was 7, I was playing hide and seek with some friends.
Welcome to the Living Louder podcast. My name is Portia Louder, and I'm super grateful that you guys tune in and listen to these stories because I've met some amazing people in prison, out of prison. And today, my guest, Dustin Blackner, is somebody who, when I heard his story for the first time, I was blown away with the strength and the turnaround. So, we're going to jump into his story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and you'll hear more stories, more of the comeback, really inspirational stories. So, thanks for coming out here.
Oh, absolutely.
Dustin, so, the other day we were on a group, an online group together, and you shared this piece of your story where you were in prison and you just all of a sudden knew you were done. Like you were walking with some friends and it just hit you. And I want to get into that, but I want to start first with like, what was your life like? Did you grow up in Utah? Because I didn't hear your story from the beginning. I just heard that part. So tell me a little bit about your childhood and kind of what your life was like.
So I was raised by my mom, and the reason why I say that is because I had a stepdad growing up,
Yeah.
and that was my little brother's father.
Okay.
However, everything him or my older brother did
Hmm.
fell on me.
Okay.
He was very abusive towards me, mentally, physically, emotionally. He used to beat my mom all the time. I hope that's not too much in
No,
sharing.
no, no. Was your mom an
He
addict?
used to abuse my mom. No, my mom wasn't. Like, my mom's had her, like, moments, but my mom's never been, like, an addict. She's always worked hard my
Hmm.
whole life.
Yeah.
Bills were paid, food on the table, things like that. I had a choice when I was growing up. I had a roof over my head.
Hmm.
However, I feel like the traumatic situations that were, like, falling on me,
Hmm.
like, at this point now, if I look back, right, is what pushed me out
Okay.
to wanna go out into the streets and, do the other things that led my life to where it ended up.
Were you the oldest? Were you the
No, I'm
oldest?
the middle child.
Okay.
He was very abusive, and it wasn't until when I was about 9 years old, I was walking through my house to my bedroom. Me and my big brother shared a bedroom,
Hmm.
and, he was standing on the toilet in the bathroom, and no nine-year-old should really know what a crack pipe looks like or anything like that, you know what I
Right.
mean? But I did.
Hmm.
And I told my mom about it, and he convinced her he was trying some new tobacco, and maybe I was just seeing
Was
things.
your stepdad or your
This is my stepfather.
okay?
My father was never really, there. He was in and out of my life, but it wasn't consistent enough for me to know the guy. So he would come into my life,
Hmm.
and then I wouldn't see him for 4 or 5, 6, 7 years,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, he just shows back up one day. So I really didn't look at him like a dad. Like, sure, I was excited when I was younger when I did see him
Yeah.
because it was so long before I did see him, right?
Right.
And then as I got older, I kinda made my own decision about him. He passed away 2018. I was in jail, ADC, but rest in peace.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't until later on in life that, I figured out that Mike really was using,
Crap.
crack, and it was funny because I was doing my thing, and I pulled up to a Motel 6, and he's just standing outside, and I'm like,
What are you doing
"What?"
here? Yeah.
Yeah, like, I get out of this car because 'cause I'm getting ready to go to this room, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just doing bad, like, I'm getting ready to sell a laptop, whatever, right? And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And when he starts talking, I can see the bags moving in his mouth, and I'm
Oh,
like, "Oh, no." So I was right, and, like, there was things that were said, like, recently before that. Me
mhm,
and my mom had a conversation. She didn't wanna tell my little brother,
right,
because my little brother's my baby.
mhm.
That's my baby. Like, he doesn't really talk to me. I've never really done anything to my family, never stole from them, nothing like that.
Wow. Usually addiction takes you in those places.
Yeah, no, I've never been one of those kind of people. I never stole from somebody I love, never stole from somebody I truly cared about. You know what I mean? I've never done nothing like that. And
Mhm.
if I did steal from somebody, I took it from their face and never did it behind their back.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to glorify that. What I'm saying is that I was that kind of person, right?
Yeah.
And so my problem is I've been loyal to a fault my whole life.
Mhm.
And I think the reason why I've been that way is because I've endured so much trauma.
Sure. That street loyalty, you're like, if somebody's got my back, I've got your back to the
Exactly.
bitter end.
Even if they burn me,
Right.
and it's happened over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Um, I don't know, I really didn't like I grew up in a broken home.
Okay.
If you ask my mom, she'd tell you different.
Yeah.
But it's because she sees it through her eyes, you know what I mean?
Is
Because
she
she
still
fought
with your
hard.
stepdad?
No, 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 he passed away too, rest in peace.
Okay.
Um, it's crazy because he passed away after he decided to quit drinking,
Mhm.
and that really sucks, you
Yeah.
know? I know it was really hard on my little brother. I haven't talked to my little brother in years.
Yeah.
I made a boo-boo with him. So I got locked up in 2018.
Is that the first time you were locked up?
No, absolutely not.
Oh,
I've
let's
got
go back,
I've got
okay?
about 22 years collectively behind walls, maybe 23, but I would say like 22, maybe a little more than that. You know what I
You
mean?
get every day of that. You get to count every day.
It's
That's a lot
crazy,
of
dude.
time.
Like it's an and like that's kind of one of the things that made me think about the situation we're going to lead up to. However, okay, so rewind.
What was
So
your first time in detention or foster care? Did you ever do any
no
time?
foster care,
Okay.
just detention.
Uh-huh.
And it was weird because like when I was younger, I was like, I'm definitely headed to foster care, like in my head.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing was, so at the age of 8, I knew I wanted to be,
A gangster.
affiliated. Yeah, I
Okay.
wanted to be a gangster.
Mhm. What
Um,
do you think why do you think you felt that way? Like, what drew you to that? I mean, I'm
the
sure
neighborhood I lived in, the way I grew up, the way the like other kids were towards me,
mhm.
the abuse at home, and then I just like and
Wanted to be
we
a part of something
yeah,
or
that's what it was.
okay.
And that's truly what it was at that time, you know what I mean? And then it took a more serious dive when I turned about 13 years old.
Okay. Were you
So,
already using drugs?
oh yeah,
Really? Like, how
yeah.
old were you the first time you tried alcohol or weed or
Alcohol was like alcohol, weed, and cigarettes. I was 7 years old.
wow.
Yeah, I was stealing cigarettes from Stimson's off Redwood Road and like in between 31 and 21st over there in Chesterfield, Lake Park Circle. So
Right.
we lived in Lake Park Circle, right?
Mhm.
And I had this friend named Matt Vanucci, and he was a dude. I mean, this kid was a
Hoodlum.
hurricane. It was bad. And that was the first friend that led me into like, really
Yeah,
doing bad stuff.
right,
So in Stimson's, they had this, they had a long counter that was like one way and then the next, like a corner on it, right?
right.
And at the very end, if you walk into the store in the front, if you would just go to the very back by the drinks, they had this plastic display case
Mm,
and the back's just lifted up.
okay.
And they were like
And
maybe
the
15 feet away from the cash register. So they weren't really paying attention.
right,
So we go in there like we were going to get drinks and they kept cool cigarettes and camels in there.
right.
We just lift up the back and each take a pack of cigarettes and we'd like buy some candy and walk out. And that
Did your
was my
parents smoke? Did your
yeah,
mom?
my mom smoked cigarettes. Mike smoked cigarettes. Mike was a chronic alcoholic.
Okay.
Um, so we would just steal them, and
Yeah.
then we'd go hide in like the pilot the what do you call that? Where your pilot light the water heater closets.
Okay.
We would hide in them because we had water heater closets right outside the apartments.
Yeah.
So we'd go to a different apartment and get in their water heater closet and use the pilot light to light these cigarettes and we'd smoke in the closet. I mean, we were just terrible,
Were
right?
you did you grow up living in apartments, or did you guys ever have a home?
No, not that I remember. I
Mhm,
mean, we moved a lot when I was younger. Until I was about 7 years old, we moved to Lake Park Circle. We was there till I was 14, and then my mom bought a condo. It
mhm,
was a very small condo, Cottage Park condominiums
mhm.
in, Rose Park.
Okay. Yeah.
And, so
Still
when
pretty rough neighborhoods for
right,
Utah, you know?
right.
Yeah.
I, uh, I tried it once, didn't try it again until I was 13, but I tried meth my first time when I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just, like, very little, like, I mean, it gave me a zing, you know what I mean, but I was still able to go to bed that night. I mean,
Mhm.
shocking because most people, I guess, would, like, stay up or something, but,
Yeah.
um and I knew what crack was, all that stuff, you know what I mean, and like I said, I don't feel like kids should know that at that age, right, but a lot
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was kinda like, me and Matt Vanucci, and then he was my, like, lead down kinda down the wrong path, but it wasn't his fault, right? I was just a kid trying to be accepted, by the wrong people,
Yeah.
which was whatever. And then so we had this gang that would hang around, and my mom took care of, like, pretty much the leader of it,
Mm,
like, because he'd go through rough patches with his girl and stuff or whatever, and my mom would be like, "Okay, you can sleep on the porch, but you gotta help me wake up the kids and do this." So
mm,
we called him Uncle Carrie.
mhm.
So no matter
And he was a
what
little older, kind of a leader of a gang,
yes,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
probably looked up to him.
Oh, for sure. But he didn't present that to me. He was really respectful. Like he didn't try to like be like, "Hey, like you should be a part of this." He didn't try recruiting
Right.
us. He really loved my mom.
Mhm. Was he like
Um,
a son to your mom?
I feel like that, yeah.
Okay.
Like she loved him.
Mhm.
Loved him, loved him.
And I know being a part of a gang, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have a place to stay all the time. You're just running and gunning, and so
Yeah,
somebody that will give you a
yeah,
place to stay once in a while is pretty cool.
right.
Yeah,
She'd let him use the shower, everything, free reign of the house as long as it was, like, daytime and stuff like that, even
right.
during the night until he's ready to go to bed, and she'd help him set up, like so when you go to our apartments, we lived downstairs in number 1,
Mhm.
and in between the staircase was a stairwell, and that was ours. If you lived in number 1, the stairwell was basically yours.
Got you.
So she would help set him up, make sure he's warm at night and stuff. She
Mm.
fed him. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, he did have places to stay, he had a wife and all that stuff.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He had kids and whatever, but he just, being a gang member, like,
He's
yeah,
running and
just
gunning.
running and gunning.
Right.
And, when I was 8 years old, I watched him get stabbed.
Wow.
Yeah, I had his head in my lap. I think I was maybe 9. My mom says I was 9, but I believe I was 8.
Mhm.
Anyways, either way,
So
my
you saw
mom
some violence at a
oh,
very
yeah,
young age.
so in our neighborhood, it was, like, really like,
So
all the
rough.
time. West Valley was just really rough back then,
Yeah.
through the '90s,
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, it was really, really rough.
Right.
And, in our neighborhood in Lake Park Circle, all the OLGs live there, and
Mhm.
Asians are crazy, dude. I
Are
mean
they?
oh, yeah.
The gang member Asians or just
So
in general?
before I
I don't
watched
know.
Carrie get stabbed when I was 7, I was playing hide and seek with some friends. I was hiding behind a dumpster. So when you pull into Lake Park Circle, you have Lake Park Circle, um, um, uh, it's like I can't remember the other circle, but then you have Lake Park Drive.
Mm.
So you have 2 cul-de-sacs and then Lake Park Drive that goes all the way out to Lake Park Boulevard or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was 7 years old and I was hiding behind this dumpster and playing hide and seek. It was nighttime, but
Mm.
it wasn't like too late. It was like 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
Well, this dude was walking through our neighborhood in all red, and before like all me and my friends went in here, we were like, "Oh my god, what's that dude doing in this neighborhood?" Because like we knew the OLGs like back then they were serious. Like you don't wear all red in our neighborhood or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was hiding behind this dumpster, and while I was waiting for my friend, I heard like an altercation.
Mhm.
They had jumped this dude, and then like this dude was like saying some vulgar things to this guy, and they had him on the um the speed bump.
Mm.
Shot him 16 times in his chest, and I ended up, like, seeing that,
Wow.
and it was very traumatic for me. I was so scared.
Yeah.
I, like, sat behind that dumpster. I thought I was gonna die too,
Right.
because I knew, like, their little, like, brothers and stuff, but, like, I didn't know these
And
guys
the
like
fact that you
that.
witnessed something like that,
I was terrified.
yeah, you don't want anyone to know that you saw
I was
that.
so terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever been that scared in my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, and,
You're 8?
I was 7,
You were 7. Wow.
and, all I could do was, like, think about getting home, get home, get home, get home.
Mhm.
So, me being a little 7-year-old, like, pretty sneaky,
Yeah.
so I kinda, like, snuck around the other side of the garbage can, they weren't looking at me, so I just bolted
Mm.
and went home.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty kinda rough growing up, you know what I mean? And you think seeing something like that as a kid, like, you would not wanna be any part of anything like that, right?
Right.
And so, as I got older, like, leading back up to 13, that's when I got put on,
Wow.
and from then on, it was like I thought it was, like, gonna be and it was serious, but I thought it was gonna be, like, so serious, like, I was gonna be dealing drugs and this.
And so explain
They
what
were
put on
hard
means,
on
because a
me.
lot of my followers don't even
I was
know.
jumped in.
Jumped into the gang. Okay.
Yeah, and, uh, I thought that they were gonna have me doing all kinds of stuff,
Mm.
and they
'Cause
they
it
had me doing things,
'Cause
but
when you're in a gang, you kinda have a leader that tells you what to do. You're like
or
a
you have,
soldier,
like, an
right?
older homie or something, like, you have
You have
enforcers
people
and
that
yeah,
kinda put you to work,
exactly.
whether it's drug dealing or you're gonna go out and hurt someone or
Yeah,
steal something, there's a whole
yeah,
process to
and
that.
that's how the process of real gangs run, so they were like they were all close to my mom,
Mhm.
and they were like, "Nope, you're going to school.
Mm.
You don't go to school, we're gonna violate you."
Wow.
Yeah,
They wanted you to be a
yeah,
good kid, huh?
but I was so rebellious, I didn't listen,
Mhm.
and so it got to the point where, like, they just put me with one person, and my mom told him when I was younger me and him aren't friends anymore, but my mom told him when I was younger, when I was with him all the time, she's like, "Look, I know that he's not gonna go with you,
Mhm.
but if my son gets hurt, it's gonna be on your head."
Right.
And so, he without that dude in my life, I probably wouldn't have survived a lot of situations that I did even after we stopped talking.
Mhm.
He taught me how to, like, know that crazy, like, know how to survive in the
It is
situations
crazy
that
too.
are tough, and,
Yeah.
I don't know, just growing up, I was just a bad kid, man. I just did not care at all
Mm,
about myself. Like, as I got older, as the years progressed, like, I stopped caring about myself even. I didn't care about nobody around me. Like,
mm,
I cared about my friends and family and stuff,
mhm,
but, like, when it came to, like, a girlfriend,
mhm.
or something, even if they loved me with all their heart, I didn't care. I didn't care
Is it
about
a
none of that.
darkness? Is it an emptiness? I mean, I'm trying to understand what it feels like. At one point, it's probably exciting to get involved in this and you feel a part of something, but then do you start feeling
It
dead inside?
turns it turns, like, for me, it was like, numb.
Okay.
I was numb. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess this is happening. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't know, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you've heard a lot of people say, like, I was trying to be somebody else for so long
Right.
that I tore whoever I was apart
Yeah.
into pieces. And it's taken me so long to start even piecing that back together. And I'm still doing it.
Yeah, you are.
You know, it's like so hard, dude. Like, but I'm doing it. I like the struggle
Mhm.
to find myself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I like the battle to see who Dustin is.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know? So, it's nice, man.
You're a leader too, in a positive way. I mean, I watched that, in our group, people really look up to you and uh, that's really neat because you've come from some tough stuff. And when you overcome that, it becomes your credibility. You give other people
Right,
hope. They're like, if he can do it, I can do it.
right.
So, so your teenage years were pretty rough. You started into detention when? Like, when was your
I was
first?
like 13.
Wow. Did you go to Salt Lake detention or did you?
Yeah, I went to, Cornell, right across the street from the jail.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it was like daycare for a little while. Like, just like a bunch of
They just,
babies, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
they
Like,
lock you up and they,
yeah, and they,
yeah.
like, have a flap on your window and they come to, "You alright?" I'm like, "Yeah, take the flap off my window, idiot." Like, that's how I was when I was a kid, I'm like,
Right.
I would just say mean things to the COs. I mean, I did that for a long time up until, like, even until I started changing. The crazy thing is before we're getting up to that, but I just wanna put this in that right before, like, I think a week before, I was like, "What am I doing?" Right?
Mhm.
I call the CO in my cell. Huh. Like, "Dude, I'm getting tired of you writing me up for everything. Like, you don't write none of these people up in here for the stuff you write me up for." I was like, "Get in my house." And he was like, "Well, you can go in your house and rack in." It's just, I don't know. So when I was younger, like, yeah, it was a lot of DT and stuff. And then when I got older, right? So I was on probation, state probation from like end of 12, 13, all the way to 18 years old.
Okay.
I just kept getting in trouble.
As a
Did
juvenile.
not care. Yeah, did not care. I get off probation at 18, dude. I'm like, yeah, party, let's get drunk. And so we throw this, and this is a little while after I was off probation. We're at this party.
So you go from the juvenile system to the adult system now.
Yeah, like
That's not what
this,
you think, but yeah.
like that, dude.
Uh-huh.
Like, and me being me, like wild, obnoxious, does not care who like I invite to a place, right?
Mhm.
I invite some girls, which is actually one of my wife's best friend now.
Yeah.
One of these girls is.
Yeah.
So invite some girls over, and Andrea Campion and her a couple of her friends, and they come over and we're all drinking and stuff. They get ready to leave, and I'm like, "All right, see you guys later." And they go around the side of the building and they start arguing
Mm.
like loud.
Mhm.
Cops get called, and before the cops get there, these other people in the apartments come over. They jump my friend outside.
Oh, no.
We didn't even notice for a second. And then the cops come, and as the cops come in, I'm chugging 2 beers at the same time,
Yeah.
two bottleneck beers,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Who's gonna blow the highest?" And I was like, "Me." And I told them that too, and I was just like, I think about things like that, and I'm like,
You just
"Wow."
didn't care.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's really obnoxious, you know what I mean? Like, typically, people, like, run, and
Yeah.
I was just like, "Yeah, whatever."
Let's do this.
Yeah.
So you started your, big boy jail trips.
Yeah, trying to prove myself,
Okay.
and, I don't know, people try to prove themselves in a lot of different ways, but mine was just, like I said, like, really obnoxious, man. Like, I don't even know how people liked me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know why people like me. I was just so obnoxious, but I think that's what makes me funny now because, like,
You can laugh at yourself now.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I told my wife, I was like, "You know how you know you're the funniest person in the world? Because when you laugh at your own jokes." You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean, rough childhood leading up to adulthood, and then, just my adulthood was just a complete just
Mess.
yeah, bad, dude.
So
Like,
how did
it
it
was
go
worse
down?
than my childhood.
Yeah, how did it well, you if you started using drugs that early, a lot of people get stuck emotionally where they started,
Right.
right? And so, um, now you start into the adult system, and how did that go? What was your first serious charge? A lot of probably little charges in and out of
Yeah,
jail.
yeah, so my first serious charge was, I think it was, like, November, like, 12th or 13th, 2010.
Okay.
I was at a party in Bountiful,
Mhm.
and I got really, really drunk.
Mhm.
However, the people that lived at this place really respected them. So I
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, I just want you to know because this is your place, like, this is not a threat," and I just had them 2 in the room
Mhm.
because it wasn't like, "Hey, look at me," you know what I mean? Their
Right.
house.
Right.
"I just want you to know, like, I have a gun on me." I mean, they're like, "Why do you have a gun on you?" And I'm like, "I'm a gang member." Like, "Why do you think that,"
I'm a gang
well,
member. Do I have
when
to
I was
explain
younger
myself?
I was doing a lot of bad stuff, so, like,
Yeah.
I was paranoid,
Yeah,
so, like,
of
I always
course you
had it,
have.
but I wasn't paranoid about anybody in the house, I was just trying to respect them, right? So they kinda took that wrong,
Okay. Well, I'm sure they
and
might have taken it right. I don't
well
want someone in my house with a gun.
one of them was yeah, exactly, right? But one of them was okay with it because he, like, really knew me like that,
Yeah.
and the girl was, like, his best friend, and I knew her for quite a few years too, but, like, we weren't ever close, right?
Right.
Or her boyfriend kinda walked out, and I was, like, already drunk, He walked out, and he was like, "Hey, just so you know, I got my 9 in my car," and I was like, "What's that supposed to mean?" You know? Because being young,
We
like, you
all have
take that
guns.
yeah,
We
like
all have guns.
well,
That's
being young,
sad.
you take that as a threat, right?
Right.
Like, especially, like, when you're living like I was, like and I at that point, I wasn't like, I was doing some dumb stuff, but, like, nothing too
You're not
crazy.
shooting people.
No, not at the not at the moment, like, I'm not on that level, I was just trying to respect them.
Okay.
That way they could if they wanted to tell me like, "Hey, I don't want that or you
Yeah.
here, or you with that here,
Mhm.
like, would you please leave?" It probably would have upset me, but I definitely would have left.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's why I did that. Like I said, it wasn't approach like, "Hey, look at me." It's like, "Hey, like, are you comfortable with this?"
Okay.
You know what
Gotcha.
I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point, like, I've been IVing since I was 15.
Started using meth
Yeah,
IV or
IV.
heroin?
I
Oh,
no, never heroin. I'm
meth.
terrified of
Oh,
heroin.
it's so
I'm
scary.
terrified of it, like,
Yeah.
bad. I've seen a lot of people die from it, but
Yeah.
so,
But that's pretty intense when you're
yeah,
using,
amphetamines like that,
yeah.
yeah, especially at an early age. So, I had some on me, obviously, but, like, I hadn't done anything yet, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I made sure I slept the night before this, like, I wanted to be sane when I went over
You're
there,
being a
right?
responsible drug
Just
addict.
trying to be
I
respectful
feel
for
you.
them,
Yeah.
And so when I get over there, like, and I tell him that, like, everything's cool, and then he says that, and I'm kinda drunk already, but I'm like, "Whatever," I just blow it off, right? And I get really, really drunk.
Mm.
I'm like and then I start getting paranoid, so I'm like, "I better go to the bathroom and fix myself," right?
Mhm.
Well, that ended up bad. I don't even, like, dive into that. That was just a whole bet like
Things got ugly.
yeah, it was just messy.
Okay.
And then I guess apparently, like so they called the cops and said I did a bunch of stuff that I didn't do.
Okay.
I got sent to jail. When I got sent to jail, I had, like, 9 felonies.
Okay.
They got dropped down to 2,
Mhm.
aggravated assault, possession of a firearm by a restricted person.
Mhm.
I hadn't had no felonies beforehand, it was just because domestic violence on my stepfather.
Okay.
So, they take me in jail, I get that dropped, and then I go to prison. But
What
they ran them concurrent.
so what was the sentence?
It was, 2 0 to 5 is ran concurrent of aggravated assault,
Mhm.
possession of a firearm by a restricted person.
What was
So,
that
pretty
like?
much 1 0 to 5, right?
Right.
They still give me 3 years.
Okay. So my question is, what is that like for somebody like, for me, I'd never been justice involved. At
Right.
43 years old, I was sentenced to 7 years in the feds.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a lot. But what's it like for someone who's had family members, friends, people that are in and out of the system? Was it a rite of passage? Like, well, I'm going to prison now. This is, or was it like, I don't want to do this? Or was it like, I mean, what was that? For me, it was devastating walking into prison.
In the beginning, so because of, like, family and friends that I have, like, friends that were family, like, being there and telling me stories and, like, talking about things around me. So when I was younger, hearing that, right, glorified, I was like, "Dang, that sounds cool." Like,
I'm
I
going to
wanna
prison.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
when I was a kid. And then, like, when it finally happened, I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't care who sees this, like, I cried.
I
I was
cried.
terrified my first time.
Yeah, it's so
But once
sad.
I went through the process and, like,
You get hard.
got in the mix and stuff, prison does one of 2 things. It either hardens somebody or softens somebody, actually 3 things, or wakes them up,
Yeah.
you know?
It softened me and woke me up, actually.
Yeah, so me, it just it closed me in more.
But yeah, because you're hurt. I saw this with
Right.
girls all the time. That heartbreak, right? I've
Mhm.
talked to girls that cried like a baby after they were sentenced, big, tough girls in the
Right.
rec yard, but then they pull it together and then they walk through angry. That hurt turns to
Yep.
anger,
Yep.
right? And so,
And so beginning to end of my prison sentence for all my homies, I was just a headache.
mm.
I didn't care who I was fighting, or what I
So
said. I
you
would
went in and
just doing a bunch of reckless things, right?
okay.
Um, always like, "Hey, man, gotta violate you again?" And it's just like
So you're talking about the homies violating you,
yeah, all the
not
time.
see, and I don't understand the whole gang system, but like they actually have their own process of
Yeah,
discipline.
right.
I'm thinking you're getting violated by the prison system, but and women
No,
don't
they're
really have
beating me
things
up,
like that. Okay. They're beating me up. Okay.
jumping
That
me.
clears it
Yep,
up.
yep.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, so, I mean, but at the end of the day, like, just a headache, and I I don't think me being like, "Alright, well, I accept it, so let's just get this out of the way." I think that, somebody being so okay with that, because like, at this point, now I'm like,
It's part of the process,
yeah,
man.
it is part of that process, but once you grow out of it, at this point, like, I'm not accepting that, like, you are tripping,
Mhm.
like, I'm not you've got things backwards.
Mhm.
But I'm not gonna I hate saying, like, I'm never gonna go back to prison, right? I
Mhm.
can't stand saying that.
Mhm.
But at this point in my life, I feel comfortable enough to say that I won't because I've never made a dramatic change like this. I've never
Right.
been out of prison this long, and I haven't tried to smoke cigarettes. Like, yeah, I vape, but
Mhm.
I would vape too, and I'd have to smoke a cigarette, right?
How long have you
I
been
don't
out
have that
or
urge.
how many times did you go in and out of prison?
I'd say about 4.
Okay. And how long have you been sober right now?
Little over 2.5 years.
So cool. When you got out and I talked to
Oh, wait.
you
Nope, hold on, back up, I'm sorry. Almost 2 years.
okay, almost 2 years. When you so just to and we'll jump into that, like, turning point for you, but just to let people know, you can come out of prison totally hooked on drugs.
Oh, facts.
Yeah, people can go in sober and come out. Now, for me in the feds, I didn't wanna use drugs. I've been sober since the day I walked into prison, so that's
Good.
11 years. Yeah, for
Yeah.
me. I'm sure that there was some things going on, but not like I hear in the men's prisons and in the state prisons. It's all different there. And but not just that, now they have the MAT programs, which is medically assisted treatment, which means that you go in, a lot of them don't even have a heroin addict and they get on Suboxone.
Yep.
And now so I see people coming out into our program and they are on a rash of drugs. So
Mhm.
when I did your assessment, I was like, "Hey friend, tell me what you're using." And you're like, "Nothing." Yeah, I'm like, "What? You're doing it sober 100%?" Like a lot of people, they come out and they're really hooked.
So, my whole life, my wife, like, I think well, I don't think she thinks it's weird now, but maybe, like, before. I don't like taking pills. I don't. I
Oh,
do.
that's a blessing to
I
you.
mean I mean, ibuprofen, Tylenol, I won't take it unless, like, I absolutely have to. I
Right.
do not like taking medication. I even have vitamins, but they're gummies because I
You
do
just don't
not
like
like
it.
no.
See, I like taking pills. Unfortunately, I like to take a whole handful. I'm an addict. I'm a pill popper. I've been sober for a while, but I'm just saying, I wish that I had that. I
That
don't
is great.
yeah, it's
That's
just
funny. Not
what
like great, but that's
but
funny.
it's
That is
just what my struggle is, right? And so
right.
I've never used a needle or anything like that. And so I mean, we all just find what our thing is. For me
Mhm.
now, I would rather like I had a really serious injury and I told him, you can cut my leg off, but don't give me any pain pills. Like I already know
Right,
what comes next. I want to die sober and I'd rather die than relapse. Like I am a way better person sober. Like I
right.
like myself. And that
Well, I
took
think
a
that
bit.
everybody is, the worst version of themselves when they're using.
Right.
It's a fact. It's 100% fact
Right.
because if you knew me when I was using and you knew me now,
Right.
you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, you're not the same
At
person.
all. I'm not the same person at all
You
in
have
any
power and
kind of
strength
way.
in your life when you're not using drugs.
Oh,
And it's
facts.
funny, you think when you're using drugs, it makes you, feel hyped up and powerful, but it's a phony sense of that. You
Right.
really have no strength. But when you're sober, like sobriety is my superpower. I feel strong sober,
I
you
think
know,
that I think that, me being sober, like, deciding to stay this
deciding.
way
Mhm.
is the best thing I've ever decided in my life. Like, I have twins. I have 2 twin boys at home, 8 years old. They're autistic. I love them. They're my babies, you know?
Right.
Those are my boys. But they are so dude, they're so wild. Like, it's insane. I'm not even playing with you. Like,
Yeah.
my wife's sister came over to do her taxes not that long ago, right?
Mhm.
And the whole time she's in the room, I think I was at work, I'm pretty sure, or I was somewhere, but I was on the phone with my wife. And
Mhm.
then when I got home, or either when I got home or when I was on the phone, Drea said, "Dang, you hear them banging? Because like all they do when they're in the room, bang, 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 boom." And
Yeah.
she's like, like, "You don't do anything about that?" She's like, "No, we're used to it." It's like, that's how they play, right?
Right.
Sometimes, like, they're so stressful on me,
Yeah.
because, like, there's so much,
Right.
but I love it
Yeah.
because you know what? Now I get to deal with that,
Right. Sober.
like,
Yeah.
sober. I've never been in front of my kids high.
Good for
I've
you.
never seen any of my kids like that.
Good for you.
I don't do that. Nope.
That's amazing. Good for you. Because yeah, I
I
can't say
wouldn't
that.
even call it responsible addict. Like, I mean, yeah, that is being responsible, like, but it was like when, my oldest son was younger, way before the twins,
Mhm.
I would sober up for a few days.
Mm.
Sober up, and then
Yeah.
I'd take him on the weekend, and I would stay sober that weekend. I'd
Good for
have
you.
to, no
Yeah.
choice. I mean, I would sleep a lot, which was
'Cause
horrible.
you're coming down. Yeah.
And my wife told me to wake up with him one morning. I was like, "Now have you finally go back to sleep?" He got out of the door with one of the plastic doorknobs on it.
Mm.
I woke up, I was like, "Where's my son?" She's like, "He's in the bathroom." Something like that, and I went in the bathroom. He's got my toothbrush, and he's cleaning the toilet with it.
Payback for
Should
you.
probably wake up with your kids,
Yeah.
because
Right.
they might be cleaning the toilet with your toothbrush. I
Right.
said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm cleaning, Dad." You can't even be mad at that, like,
Right.
I was annoyed, but I was just like, "Oh, man," you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So in and out of prison, and you got comfortable in there. I mean,
very.
is life in a way easier in prison?
So, it was for a long time for me.
Okay.
It was for a very long time. However, when Draper was around,
The
things
Draper prison, because I have followers all over the world. Draper prison was like the old school prison,
yes,
right?
it'd
And
been
then
there forever, like,
yeah,
that was the
that
prison.
was the prison, and then they built a new prison. I heard the new prison's kind of I mean, I've been out there, but I haven't
I haven't been there, I haven't done time there yet,
yeah.
but they always send me to Gunnison because, like, I'm such a knucklehead, so, like, "Nope, Blackner, you're going to Cedar." Cedar's, like, the worst place you can be in Gunnison.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like, it's where all the knuckleheads are at, so that's where I always end up, and when Draper was around, like, the flow of things
Mhm.
was right, like, if something happened, right, like, whatever, like, we would deal with it correctly,
Mhm.
like, I guess in that life, like, that aspect, right, you just deal with it the way it's supposed to be dealt
Do the
with.
COs kinda let you guys deal with your own stuff to a certain degree?
They're pretty much as long as, like, we weren't, like, people weren't stabbing each other, whatever, like, if there was a fight, there was a lot of COs that just be like, whatever, like, they're just fighting,
Yeah.
right? However, there's also a lot of COs that
They don't wanna see any of that.
absolutely not, and you're gonna be slammed if you get caught, you
Yeah.
know? But the crazy thing is there's always something going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally laying on, like, trays getting my stomach tattooed daytime. Yeah,
The
it's just
well,
it's
at the Dublin prison that I was at, there were just a couple of girls that had tattoo guns, and they pretty much just left them alone as long as they weren't causing any trouble.
right.
Then I went to a new prison in Minnesota, and it wasn't like that. Like, it was a lot different
It
prison. Of course, that
varies.
prison's been shut down. But, I mean,
There you
they
go.
kind of yeah, the COs were pretty ghetto. Not all of them, but some of them. I was like, there is some similarities. Like,
Mhm.
COs it's like a whole system.
Yeah,
Everyone
just like with the 2 prisons, you know what I mean? You have
yeah,
both sides with COs, like, you either have COs that are like, whatever, like, if that's what's gonna help you guys get whatever you got going on out of the way, then do that.
right.
See, and I did 7 months in Texas out in Texas, Bear County Jail,
Oh, wow.
and was that jail was horrible, like, it was bad, like, it was a little worse than this prison. They're not playing,
Yeah, I know.
but
I've
out
been
there
out of state to
uh,
some places that I'm
yeah,
just like, "I'm in deliverance right now. I gotta
yeah,
keep it together."
gladiator school for sure, and, the cops in there, they have a thing on their utility belt, and
Mhm.
it's got a red button on it. It's a black box with a red button.
Yeah.
It's called a code 2. They
Mhm.
pop it whenever there's a fight. 90% of those cops walk in and it's flipped upside down
Mm.
because they don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing it in the section or in a room and
Mhm.
you're out in the yard handling it,
They just
they
leave it
let you
alone.
handle it.
Mm.
And there was never any tension there because of that.
Mhm.
Like, if we just had an issue and we could get it out of the way, it was fine. but they also knew that we kept high respect. Like, there wasn't no jumping
Mhm.
going on. It was just one-on-one. Men were handling their frustrations, and then they move on,
Mm.
shake hands and move on 90% of the time.
So your life was pretty violent.
Very,
Yeah. Is
very.
that a struggle for you now?
No.
Yeah.
At moments, I guess you could say, like, actually, I've had one moment recently,
Mhm.
right? And, it was at work. I got really frustrated, but, like, I didn't threaten
Mhm.
the person or anything like that. I did vent,
Mhm.
and then it turned around on me when I vented, right?
Mm.
And then I had to fix it, which is fine. I fixed it in a
Mhm.
mature way, you know? But violence is not really, I don't factor it into my life anymore because it's not a healthy, thing for me. It never has been, and when I do start getting that way, like, I just kinda lose control, right? And I just stop caring, so I just keep that contained and locked away, and really what I'm doing it for is, like, things that really matter for that, like, emotion and problem to come out of me, right? And that would be, like, protecting the life of my family, and,
Mm.
like, when's that ever gonna happen? Because I don't even talk to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not in that life anymore. I don't talk to anyone who uses or is doing things they shouldn't be doing. I don't live like that. My best friend is sitting right over there. That's it.
Mhm.
Her and my
His wife
kids.
is in the studio, so.
Her, yeah, just so you guys know. It's my bestie. I'm saying,
So,
take
but
her everywhere with me in my pocket.
how does that work though? Because you're gang affiliated, you're locked up. So we'll get to your story. Like you are entrenched in this lifestyle and something happens. What was that?
So I went out because like everybody, like every gang in there works out at a certain time, right?
Mhm.
And Jesus criminally. So one of our big homies from TCG moved over there,
Mhm.
and he started running our section.
Mhm.
We went from 1 hour workout to three
And
hour
that's the
workouts.
Tongan Crip gang, right?
Yeah,
So he comes in and starts running things.
yeah. Because like they put him in that place. Like when he moved into the building into our section, they were like, "Hey, now you run the section. You know what I mean? You run the workouts, whatever. Like, just make sure everybody, stays good and content and like in line and like do what they're supposed to. You know what I mean?
I have one question before I
It's like
lose the
running
question.
a bunch of children.
Yeah. So, what happens if someone goes to prison and he just doesn't want to be anything a part of that? Like he's in your section, but he's like, I'm not gang affiliated. Somebody that just gets themselves in trouble. Maybe they do something really stupid. They go rob a bank because they got a drug
Are
addiction.
you saying that they were prior gang related?
No,
Or
they've
they
never
just not?
been
Oh no,
affiliated.
we're cool with that.
Yeah, they can just do their own thing. They're not
Yeah, we don't.
because people all say, "Oh, you have to pick a side." And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you can go to
No.
prison and do your time and not be a part of that if you're not a part
We
of that.
like we well, not all of them, obviously, because like, I don't care where you go in life, like, I mean, I guess if you look at it this way, like, there's a lot of weirdos everywhere, right?
In
There
prison
is
too,
there
for
is,
sure.
especially in prison, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, but we pick and choose, but, like, we love the non-affiliates, you know why? Because if we like them, it's like tell me the side, give me the side non-affiliated life, like, it's, like, exciting for us, you know? It's
Tell me
great.
that normal
Maybe I just look at it like that, but I really don't think I'm the only one, and
You're not.
maybe I'm the only one that'll speak on it, I don't know, but I think it's funny because it's like, "Oh, you wanna be friends?"
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk
like
about
yeah.
No, it's interesting. When I got out of prison, there was a guy that, I was in a treatment group with, and was affiliated. And he said in the group, he goes, I got tricked. He goes,
I
"I
got
got
tricked?
tricked."
That's funny.
He's like, I saw this guy walking down the street the other day." He goes, "I'm in downtown Salt Lake over by that Temple Square with all the flowers, and he looks square." And I think, "I should have done what he did, man." I used to think those guys were all lame because those guys have it figured out, you
Mhm.
know? And I think that's the thing. You're like, we picked this life, they picked their life. And
Right.
so they're interesting. You're interesting to me because I've never been a part of a gang.
Well, I
So
feel like for this kinda life, like, I don't care what anybody says, even if you so, just let me explain this. So I feel like for this kinda life, like, 1, you start early.
okay.
You don't just, like,
You don't
decide
decide at
you don't
20
decide at
that you're gonna
27 that all of a sudden you wanna be a gang member, and, like, some people do, and sometimes it works out really well for them. But
It
a
never works out
No,
well
no,
for
no, what
20
I'm saying, if that's what they're trying to do,
I
you know what
got
I
you, I
mean? Like,
got
if
you.
they're
Yeah.
trying to live that way,
Yeah.
like, some people, make it, but a
Yeah.
lot of people that choose to do that later on in life, a lot of them don't make it, and I'm not trying to say anything, bad about that, what I'm saying is, like, these kinds of things, like,
They start young.
you
Mhm.
don't just choose it
It
chooses
chooses you.
it, you just don't just chooses it. Yeah,
It
you don't
chooses you.
yeah, it chooses you, and that's a fact.
Okay.
That's how it happens. Like, yes, you have a choice in life, right?
Mhm.
But when
But when you're
something like
12 or
that
13,
chooses you and
yeah,
you choose it back,
right.
I don't care what anybody says, like, you're meant to live the life you live.
Yeah.
The life everybody has lived in their life. It does not matter. Now, some people are unfortunate,
Mhm.
but life is inevitable.
Yeah.
And whatever's going to happen to you in life, however you're going to live your life, that's inevitable. And I always tell people you cannot stop life because that's inevitability at your doorstep, no matter what. But how you choose to live later on in
How you
life,
choose to respond
yep,
because there's
yes,
gonna be those turning points. I don't care who you are, how gang
exactly.
affiliated, I don't care if you killed someone, what it is, there's gonna be a moment for you where you wake up and go, "I can't do it anymore." And some of you'll push it away. A lot of people
Mhm,
push away. I felt that way before I went to prison. I was just like, "I'm so tired of my addiction.
mhm,
I wanna be free." Turned out prison is what did that for me, but I
yeah.
think a lot of people, they push it away and push it away, but the day comes for you where you don't push it away anymore.
Right, and the thing that sucks about that, though, is some people end up trying to figure that out too late in life,
Yeah.
and that sucks. That really sucks because there's a lot of good people, like, I love my homies, don't get
Mhm.
me wrong, every one of them, even the idiots.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way, there's just some dummies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But I wasn't always the smartest guy around.
Mhm.
I didn't always have it figured out. I never had thousands of dollars on my books,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I wasn't, like, doing all these other things. Always had just, like, this tight, like, little circle, like my mom and my wife. They were
Mhm.
always there for me, right? And I think my breaking point, like I said, like, what we were getting to is, I was out working out with my homies one morning, and I was cool, right? And then after the workout, when I started walking back to my house, I was talking to my celly and, like, a couple other people. As I'm walking to my house, like, just this feeling came over me. Like, not and it had nothing to do with, like, me not loving them, you
Mm,
know? It had to do with me. And it was like, I don't even know how to describe it, right? But it was so hard. I was like, it like almost like it felt like it was gonna bring me down to my knees.
mm,
I've never had that feeling in my life. And so I was supposed to shower first, but I couldn't even shower. Like I had to sit down and I just started thinking and like, so here comes my homie T, you know, a couple other homies and like, what are you doing? And I was like, just leave me alone. And T's like, hold on, guys. And he comes in, he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I just need some time alone. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, dude, just leave me alone, bro. And get out. You know, like I need some time.
mhm,
I need to think, you know? And, you know, I pretty much told him, like, you ain't gonna live here. Like, if you don't leave me alone, like, get away from me. You know,
mhm,
like I love you, but you gotta go, dude. Like, I need just me.
mhm,
And I remember when he walked out, I told myself, I was like, what are you doing?
mm.
I've never even asked myself that question legitimately. And if I did, like, I didn't mean it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I really meant it this time. Like, I asked myself, I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing in your life? You know, because I vowed, so the start of all this, like backing all the way up, I vowed when I was younger I'd never be like my father.
Mm.
My father never cared about us. He was a chronic alcoholic. He just pop in and out, say some fancy things, flash a little bit of money, and then he was gone.
Right.
You know, and it was like that was painful,
Yeah.
you know. And but I don't think I acted out because of that. I think is because of the traumatic abuse, you know.
Mhm,
Um, so I asked myself that and I just started thinking and just you know, kinda like, not it was, like, out of my mouth, but it wasn't, like, loud, you know, like, telling myself, like, "I wanna change, like, I don't wanna do this no more," you know what I mean? I wanna be there for my kids, I wanna be a full-time father, you know? And me and my wife, we just got back together, we were separated for 6 years,
mm.
and, due to my
Addiction.
issues,
Right.
not just my addiction, my issues.
Yeah.
Like
Anger.
like, I'm not the best person in the world. See, when we split up, I walked out on her and my kids.
Mm,
And that like, at that point in time when I sat down and thought about things, that was a huge impact on me,
mm.
and I'd never hurt like that about that situation until then,
Okay.
and when I decided that all I wanted to do was change, I was like, "Well, if I can't county out, it's gonna be the most difficult thing in the world for me to change," and I knew that.
In the prison,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
So I started working with my caseworker trying to IPP, and I tried this dude for, like
IPP means
yeah,
to go to basically a small little county
yeah,
jail and do your time there because they
yes,
let people out of it.
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
and I tried this for, like, 4, 5, 6 months. They just weren't accepting me, so I let it go.
Mhm.
Well, a couple months later, about 3 months after I stopped trying, they come by my door, 8:30 count, Blackman roll up. So where am I going? And
Mm.
I'm thinking, because 'cause I'm E level
Yeah.
and I've got a stack of write-ups.
And E-level means high security, right?
Yeah, yeah, so, like, I come out from 7:30 in the morning to 9:30, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done for the day.
You're locked in all the time.
Yes. And so I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to Max."
Yeah.
They're like, "No, you're going to IPP." And I told them, I was like, "Get off my porch. You're like, I know you're lying to me." You know what I mean? Like, I thought, like, he was playing with me because one of the SEALs, he didn't really like me that much, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, "No, you're really going IPP." So I was like, "Alright, bet." I put my TV in my pin bag. I put my coffee in my pin because you can't take that to the county with you, you know what I mean? I was like,
Right.
they think they got me. And I put my pin bag out there, and they came over my speaker. They're like, "Dude, you can't take this. You're going IPP."
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, I remember saying to myself in my head, I was like, "Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thanks for this opportunity," you know, because I can roll with all the stuff in the prison. It's cool. Like, even though, I'm a knucklehead and I was like doing a bunch of crazy stuff all the time and not caring like what happened, like what the end result was, whether I got violated or not. But I wanted to change.
Yeah.
So I went to Summit County
Right on. I've been there.
and
I've spoke there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I met a really amazing person. His name's Jason Hines.
Shout out Jason Hines. I've met him too. Yeah.
Yes.
Great
Yes.
guy.
Yeah, and, when we met, like, he would, like, come through in the section, like, because he would do maintenance and laundry and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. He's done
And
a lot of time and
oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, he's done a
He's
lot of
20?
time.
He done 20?
I think it's 21 or it's about 21 now,
Mhm.
21 and a half.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been down for a very long
And
time.
he's
He's
got
been
a good
gone.
soul.
Yeah.
He's really figured
He's
some things
changed
out. Yeah, he has changed.
dramatically, and he's
Right.
not kidding either.
Yeah.
So, he helped me get a job and stuff, because I talked to him, I was like, "Look, man, like, I'm just trying to fix myself."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, we'll see."
You gotta prove that.
Yeah, and when we got over the worker section, like, he started working with me, like, helping me start an autobiography for his program, Motiversity, and I went to that. I started attending church. Do you know how long it's been since I've been to church in my life?
What religion are you?
I was baptized Mormon when I was 8.
Okay. And you went to Mormon church in the jail?
Yes,
Oh, right on.
and I hadn't been there since I was, like, probably 10,
Right on.
to a church.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, like,
awesome.
I had been, like, to churches here and there, but I would never stay the whole time, right?
Right.
Because I just did not like it, and I think the reason why I didn't like it is because at those times, I was just a really dark person.
Yeah.
I didn't care, you
Yeah.
know? And, started going to church. I was going to crochet. I'm telling you, dude, like, I was doing some,
I'm
like
serious, man.
I
I
was
was
doing, like, you know what
crocheting.
I mean? Like like in Shameless when he tells Liv, he's like, I don't know, knit a blanket, Like, and I was they were like it's crazy, like, how you say, like, I'm a leader, right? Because
Yeah.
every, like, class I went to, like, this jail
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, are you really willing to learn how to, like, do animals and backpacks?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely." They were like, "Hey, we'll get you all the stuff for it."
Yeah.
They just bought me a bunch of stuff, you
You
know?
started crocheting animals and
No, no,
backpacks?
I
Oh,
was learning, right? I was
okay.
starting to learn, like, I had the books and everything, and I
Gotcha.
was actually starting to learn I could do the magic circle and stuff.
That's right.
I probably couldn't do it now, but, because I was only there for a short period of time after that was weird, like, so I started doing all these things, right? I'm working in the car wash. I got one of the best jobs in the jail.
Right.
They just bought me a bunch of stuff for crochet.
Mhm.
The SEALs were really starting to like me and work with me,
Yeah.
but I was sewing, I was working in the car wash, and I was doing that for crochet, like I was trying to learn.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, first thing in the morning, Blackner, roll up. Officer Lund, I remember her. She was really cool. She was like, Blackner, roll up. I said, where am I going? She said, I can't tell you. So I knew I was being moved.
Mhm.
And I go on and tell Jason, I'm like, dude, what the heck? And he was like, dude, this is good, bro.
Mm.
He's like, I promise you, this is going to be good. He's like,
Ah.
you're recommended to go to a program. He's like, you're going to a program. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So on transport, I'm like, hey, where am I going? And they're like, we believe you're going to Garfield County. I was like, well, can you find out? And they're like, yeah. As soon as I found out I was going to Garfield, I was like, yes.
What's good about Garfield?
Dude, I had a foam mattress like this. I had a big old TV like this. They had a great program. They have great jobs there,
Yeah.
And,
So there is a prison and jail hierarchy, like, there's the good
right.
places and
Right. I mean,
Right.
you go to I was like, it was either Garfield or Beaver.
Yeah.
And I knew for a fact if I went to Beaver,
It's not gonna be good.
no, I was just gonna fall back right back in the same stuff.
Yeah,
And I guarantee it, like I knew if I went to Beaver, I was gonna go to Max for sure. They're just gonna send me back to the prison sooner or later, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Do you think God was in the details of all that?
oh, for sure.
Mm,
Oh, for sure. I've never prayed as much in my life as I had this time,
yeah,
you know? Not just like praying for help, but thanking as well, you know? Because when I was in Garfield, I attended church the whole time too.
yeah.
There were sometimes I go a couple weeks without going to church. My wife was like, "What is wrong with you? That's weird. That's not you," you know?
Wow,
And
a big change. Did you see a big change?
yeah, dramatically.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I got to Garfield was when I started teaching myself real discipline. That's the reason why, like, I really went to church all the time.
Mhm,
I would do my assignments. They
mhm.
would be done. I would present them greatly,
Yeah.
you know, and then I became one of the peer leaders.
You had integrity and you cared about
Yes.
yourself. You
Yes, I
started
did.
investing in
Yeah.
yourself.
Now I wasn't perfect through the program. Nobody is. We're all men learning we're all like, I feel like we're teenagers learning how to be men, right?
Right.
Like mentally and emotionally. And so it was a growing experience.
Mhm.
There was some times, dude, that I'm glad the COs didn't see me flip out on somebody.
Right.
But then immediately I
You
would go to my
apologize.
room,
Yeah.
I would breathe, I would call my wife, and because she would just listen to me, she would let me vent, and then she'd be like, "Well, babe," and she would talk me down and make me realize that, like, yeah, maybe that kid deserved to be talked to. That guy deserved to be talked to some kind of way, but you should have never, like, said the things that you said. You know, you could
Yeah.
have handled it better. And, you know, I feel like, when you're growing, somebody always needs another person, right?
Mhm.
Either on the end of the phone or somebody they trust in there, you
Yeah.
know, to help you learn that, like, these are not things that adults like, when you're grown, like, you don't handle things like that.
Yeah. It's part of the I have a question for you. Because everybody likes to talk about and make look like all these prison movies that make everything look so hard and rotten and terrible. Man, I had so many tender moments. I never
Oh, dude,
laughed harder. I never felt more loved. I
you
mean,
are
I
not lying,
yeah,
dude. You are
there's like
not lying.
there's some things going on in
Dude, when
prison.
Draper was around, okay, so A West was 4 tiers high.
Yeah, I would
Anyway,
believe.
there was bars and
Uh-huh.
steel chicken mesh, right?
Oh, wow. At the Draper prison?
Yeah,
Oh,
but it was only in A West,
wow.
you
Okay.
know? So in A West, there was bars and steel chicken mesh.
Uh-huh.
When I first went there, this like, we had cardboard where our heads were in
Uh-huh.
our bed. I was like, "Why is the cardboard here?" And this I don't know if he was messing with me at the time, you know, but dude was like, "Oh, you know, it's like if somebody gets stabbed or something or tries to throw something through the like." And people do that. Like, people will throw boiling hot water on
Oh, I've
people.
heard.
Yeah,
I've heard
it's
crazy
hard.
stuff.
But I'm telling you, when the lights go out,
You're a bunch of little kids
oh my gosh,
screwing
I've
around.
never heard things that funny in my life, dude. I laughed so hard, I almost fell off the top bunk a few times. It
I
was
used to have it.
yeah,
We'd be at night and it would
telling
just
you.
be like the nonsense.
Yeah. There's no comedy show like that. You will never find comedy like that in your life
Right.
because of how bored we get,
Yeah, it's true.
you
I'm
know?
grateful for the boredom because out here, they say that it's good for your brain to be bored. I'm like, I got 5 years of boredom, you know?
Well, I think, so for addicts, until, like, you've really, because you have to, like, make that transition, right, to where, like, you can handle boredom.
Right.
Because in prison, you learn to be with yourself.
Right.
And if you can't learn to handle to be with yourself
You're gonna be real miserable.
for a long time until you figure it out, right?
Right.
And so,
Especially in the shoe, because I did some of that too.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
fun. Max is just, you know, or just by yourself isolated is just the
Mhm.
best thing in the world.
Takes them you
Jesus.
gotta really figure out how to control your thoughts and start to
Right.
use that in a positive way, you
Right.
know?
And so, like you said, like, dude, I've never laughed harder, I swear in my life.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, I would laugh so hard at times, like, I would try not to laugh because my stomach hurt and my cheeks hurt so bad, and I've already cried so much from laughing, like, I'm
Right.
just like, "Dude, I'm done," like, put my earplugs in, I have to try to go to sleep, and I'm still laughing because 'cause I'm hearing stuff through my earplugs, you know, I'm like,
Yeah, and
it's
I
bad,
and I
dude.
want the TV shows to show some of that because I'm like, there
Yeah.
is this, like, connection and brotherhood and
Well, the
sisterhood, you
thing
know? They just make it look so rough all the
yeah,
time.
but and that's what you gotta realize about, like, media, right?
Yeah,
It's all about the media. I'm gonna tell you right now, like prison stuff, but it is not anything that they even in the male side.
right.
Like, yeah, it gets I'll
I know it can get
definitely
wild.
believe, like, it gets
Yeah.
really dangerous, but 90% of the time, you know what we're doing? We're chilling, clowning, pretty much clowning each other,
Right.
you know?
Right.
It's just playing cards,
Right.
working out. Like, nobody's like really trying to, bump heads. And if people do bump heads, typically we're like, all right, then just go head up,
Right.
go handle it.
Come back and get over it.
Yeah. And like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
It's just they make it look so rough all the time. Like, I remember watching this show when I got back from prison, and they're trying to glamorize it, like, "We're gonna go in and do a shakedown," and they show the COs, they find nothing, but I see a great big warehouse full of guys. They're 3 bunks high, and I'm looking at these guys thinking, "Do you know how much work it is to manage yourselves in those types of
Oh,
situations?"
yeah, for sure.
Everybody in there has their own place for their towel, their food, their this, and
Yeah.
they're all making sure everyone's okay. Like, you guys are seeing a bunch of wild people, and I'm seeing a bunch of really solid people that are taking care of each other.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I see it different,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and
So
so, what's crazy? So, like, Texas is, I don't ever want to do time again.
yeah, me
But if
either.
I ever had to and I had a choice where to go, I would definitely go to Bexar County, Texas.
Really?
And this is the reason why. Not just because, like,
Shout out Bear County.
for sure. Well, this is the thing though. So look, out here, just one CO or 2 COs will go in your house, search it, and they'll just wreck it.
Right.
They don't even care.
Those COs know how to do their business right.
Out in Texas, the
Yeah.
COs won't even go in your house.
Oh, really?
They don't dare. We'll
Really?
jump them. But that's how they are in Texas. Like, that's how the inmates are. Like, if you go in my house by yourself,
You're in trouble.
yeah. And
Oh,
out there, the charge isn't as serious as out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a whole different world,
Mhm.
right? They have SWAT come in, and they make us go sit down. And if we live on the top, like the top deck,
Mhm.
they make us sit down with our legs hanging over and our ankles crossed.
Mm.
And they come in full SWAT gear,
To shake down cells?
shed helmet and everything. They are not playing with the
They are
visor.
Wow.
They got batons and all that.
Shake you
Shields,
down.
everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
dude.
So it's kind of peaceful, like, right? Like, the COs leave you.
There's the
but
process. Everyone knows where they're
exactly.
Yeah.
But not just only that. We come out at 6 in the morning, right? We lock down at 9:30 in the morning, and
Mhm.
we're down for 6 hours. But the whole time you're down, you can do this thing called cell riding. So you can have like 4 or 5 people in your house all the time.
Oh, wow.
And they even let people like kick in people's houses all night and just like party and stuff. Like, not like that, but like hang out,
Right.
Like, because they know that we're down for so long during the day. They
Right.
give us that, like,
They let you
yeah, they
hang
let
out.
us, like, they give us that plus, like, all right, well, you can hang out because you're going to be down pretty much all day.
Mm.
But the other cool thing is too, is there's been times I was really struggling. I was like, hey, can I talk to you? And the CO would come up. I'd be like, hey, I need to call my wife.
Mm.
Dude, it's like 12:30 at night. They'd let me out of my cell to go call
All
because
right.
I was struggling.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
is cool.
real care.
Right.
That's not
And
just
that
like,
stuff does go on. And I think
exactly.
that, the whole us versus them and I don't know. I just having been to prison and
Right.
never having been involved
Yeah.
in any of that and seeing all the TV shows and all the things, and I come home and I'm like, wait, there's like a whole nother side of this that needs
Well,
to
and
be
that's the
shared.
thing, right? So like, getting back to the media thing, right? You know what I can't stand about that is that, like, they share this tough stuff, right? But what do you think that's doing for the kids and the teenagers out there living that life? That's helping them glorify it.
Right.
What you're doing is you're pretty much putting a product on the line saying, if this is the way you want to live, then come here.
Right.
Right? And they're like, yeah, I'm going there. Like, in their head, they're like,
Yeah.
shit, they don't even know yet, right? Because when you're younger and you're doing that, that's how you are.
Right.
And I think that's kind of twisted, if you ask me, because you don't show the good stuff.
Right.
They just barely, not that long ago, like a year and a half ago or something, they did that documentary on Fredo Leilani.
I
Did you
haven't
see
seen
that?
it. No, I know
Yeah,
there's
they
a
did a
knitting club
documentary in
one.
the new prison.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it. I
Yeah.
haven't been out to see that yet.
Yeah, about the program out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And about him.
Mhm.
Right. So that's the one good thing, like, that you show, like, all these years, and that's the first thing you show. Like, that's kind of terrible because there is a lot of camaraderie in there,
There really
and
is.
there's a lot of love in there.
Yeah, there is. There's people changing their life.
Yeah.
I never felt the power of God. Like, I mean, I felt like there were some really special moments
Yeah.
for me. That's like you say, you get to know yourself. And I connected with the girls in ways that changed my life. And hearing people's stories, like,
Right.
I'm not the same person
No.
because of my experience. Like you said, you're going to change one way or another. And for me, I like myself better now, having gone to prison.
Dude, I love myself so much better now.
Yeah.
Like, I would never change anything in my past for the person I became at this point in my life,
So cool.
because I feel like I've had to go through all that, do all the horrible things I did, make the horrible decisions I made to be able to handle life at this point. And now the way I navigate things, like, I'm not the best at it, like I said, like that situation with work, but I'm a million times better than I was before, because had that happened in the past, I would have either walked out of work, got in a fight and walked out, or
Right.
just not shown up the next day,
Right.
you know? And so though, like, when you start changing, life changes with you,
Yeah.
right?
And you have such a positive attitude. Like when you, because a lot of times people come home from prison like, I can't get a job. And you're like, oh, I can get a job and I will get a job and I'll do a really good job at it. Like you're gonna find you
So manifestation is everything. Am I
yeah.
right?
Yeah. You start focusing on
So if you
put
get
your
out of
energy
prison,
behind something you want, not what you don't want, you know?
exactly. If you
Yeah.
get out of prison and you tell yourself you can't get a job, I'm a bad person, la di da di da, like, you could get in the level up and we'll help you get there,
Yeah.
because
That's right.
nobody in level up is not positive
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
Everybody I've seen in level up, they want something out of life.
Right.
And if they don't, dang, they're pretty good at hiding it, you know? Like, but I highly doubt that they're not.
Right.
You know, I highly doubt anybody in there is joking.
It's kind of special, huh?
Right.
What we're
So,
doing.
like,
It's
we
pretty
had
cool.
a girl just joined like a month ago, Auden Duff, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she'd been going through this rough patch for like the longest time,
Yeah.
you know? And then our friend Marissa, you know,
Yeah.
she's been going through some rough stuff too. And they're still there trying to be positive, trying to stay sober, trying to,
And they've got people
step up in
around
it.
them, the
Exactly.
community, and it makes a
And when you
difference.
have something like that,
Yeah.
that's what helps build a person, especially
And
if
you're a
they're
big
still in a
positive
rut.
in that program because of where you're at. You have a lot of strength in your life. I have a question though. I asked you the
Yes.
other day
Oh,
on
okay.
I said, and I love how you're just super honest. I was like, "So, do you regret the face tattoos?" And you're like, "Heck yeah, I do." And it made me laugh so hard
Yeah,
because I'm like,
absolutely.
because I mean, you see people like I think a lot of times when I ask somebody like, "Do you regret?" "Nah, nah." And for you, you're like, "Yeah, I'm actually gonna have some of them removed."
I'm having the ones above my eyebrows removed. I'm not having the snowflake removed, only because it's my wife's thing for the twins,
Yeah,
because they're autistic, and, like, she has her own, like, meaning behind it, right?
right.
However, she doesn't want me to, and it's still an uphill battle for me, but I'm gonna get my way.
You're gonna figure it out.
I'm removing the ones above my eyebrows.
And I don't think it's something that you have to do. I mean, Manny, like, I think when you figure out who you are on the inside, the outside just takes form the way it's supposed and it doesn't matter. The tattoos don't matter.
No.
But I also think that in some cases, it's also good to look back and say, yeah, that's maybe I wouldn't do that today. You know,
Right,
it's where I
right.
am now and that's fine, but maybe I wouldn't do that today.
Well, I mean, I'm bald, so I wanna tattoo my head real bad, but that is a no-go. I will get in so much trouble, so I'm not doing that.
Not doing that.
We made a deal.
You know, it's the one thing I remember I don't have any tattoos, and when I was in prison, one of the girls, she's like, "You don't even have your husband's name tattooed on your body," and she goes, "That's scandalous." And I'm like
Uh, that's the funniest thing I ever heard in my
I was
life.
like,
Wow.
"He's tattooed on
That's
my
great.
heart, girls. Most y'all in here are not as committed to your marriage as I am mine.
Right,
I
right.
promise I don't need the tattoo
You
to be
don't need a
committed."
tattoo to show that you're committed.
No.
However, I was with my wife for 7 years,
Yeah,
knew her and was with her for 7 years, and her name is the only name I've ever had put on my body.
yeah.
And trust me, I've had plenty of opportunities to make that decision to put another name on me if I wanted to,
Oh, I've seen girls put their girlfriend they met 3 days ago on their neck, and I was just like, "Oh, don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't do it." It's very short-sighted.
Yeah, right? Because you never know,
No, that's
you
not
know?
gonna last.
So 7 years into it, I got her name on my chest, and it's about this big. It's
Mhm.
pretty big. It's all the way across my chest. Then eventually got wings behind it, and then I got my twins' names underneath right here,
Yeah,
underneath my breastplate. The reason why I did that is because I knew that no matter what happened in my life, it wasn't because like, "Oh, that's my girl and I'm in love with her." No, it was deeper than that. It
yeah,
wasn't just like puppy love stuff.
yeah,
That's not what it was. It wasn't like a honeymoon phase. Like, what it was I knew for 100% fact that no matter what happened in my life, whether we ended up together forever or not, she was always gonna be there for me, and she always has.
yeah.
Even when she
Beautiful.
wasn't talking to me for, like, almost 2 years, I would get out, she would call my mom,
Mhm.
and she would make a Walmart order for me, phone, a backpack, clothes, hygiene, a
Oh,
little money.
yeah,
She always made sure I was okay.
yeah. There's some
That's
loyalty.
love.
There's some loyalty that goes with that, like, because my husband stuck with me for the 5 years that I was locked up,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "We are so solid gold," like, there's
Yeah,
not even no, like,
yeah.
I'm like, "I loved you before, we've been married for 30 years, I loved you before," but,
Right.
like, that kind of vulnerability, when you're in a situation where you're that vulnerable and somebody stands by you,
Mhm.
that creates this bond of trust, and I'm like, "It's eternal at this point, it's going nowhere," like,
That's a
I will
fact.
ride it out. I don't care what happens to you, I'm right there for you, and and
And that's a fact,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
And
it's
so, like, when it's real, like, and when you know,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, right? Like, I feel like my husband, like, we picked each other before we even got to Earth. We're like,
Mhm.
we're meant to
I
be.
feel like that's how it happens, though, like,
Yeah.
you talk about, like, picked each other before you got to Earth, because they say that, like, obviously we're created, but, like, there's I
There's
don't know how
something
it's
before.
explained
There's
exactly,
something
but there's
before.
something before for
Right.
sure,
Yeah.
and I feel like your life partner is, like, somebody you've been with in all these other past
Yeah. Oh,
lives, right?
I totally feel that way. I feel like, I even had a dream about it when I was in prison. I was like, "For reals?" Like, yeah.
You wanna know how I definitely know my wife is, like, my rock forever and has been before in my past lives? She's the only person, and this is insane, for I swear on everything I love, either the day before or right before I've ever got arrested, for real, she has a bad dream.
Really?
I swear on everything. She woke up one time and was like,
Uh-oh.
"I think Dustin's in jail,"
Wow.
and I was. My mom didn't even know yet.
Yeah.
When you have somebody that has dreams like that, like, knows when you're in trouble,
Yeah.
that's a connection that is meant to be
It
for
is.
sure.
No, and I went through some things, when I was incarcerated that Chad could feel it too. Like, I'd call him, he's like,
Right.
"Oh, man, whatever's going on in there, I got you, I feel it," you know? That's that soul
I
connection.
was like that with her this time I was down, like, I would call her and I'm like, "You okay?"
Yeah, you just
I
feel
wouldn't
it.
have to hear her voice even. She was like, "Actually, no, I'm not, like, I'm going through this," you know?
Yeah.
She went it really sucks because right before I came home, a couple months before I came home, she went through some really rough things. I'm not gonna dive into that, but these were some really devastating things, and it really sucks that she went through it had to go through it without me, right? So, that's another big reason why I choose to do what I do now because I'm tired of seeing the people that I love
Oh, yeah.
have to go through the situations that they go through without the person they want there to go through them with.
Yeah. I remember at the end of kinda later in my prison sentence, my daughter went through her teenage years without me, and I wrote her this letter. I said, "Sadie, I wanna get better and be a good person for you, but even more for me. I am
Right,
so tired
right.
of suffering.
See,
Like, I'm
when you wanna
tired."
change, it's for you, right?
Right.
We always say, "Oh, I
"I'll
wanna
do it for
change."
you, I'll do it for
Yeah,
you."
do it
I
for
wanted
you.
to. Who didn't? I
Yeah,
love your wife, I love my kids, I
right,
wanted to. But when I finally got to that place, like, I remember I was in a program, and it was like an accountability program, right? Like
right.
RDAP and the feds, um, and I was like, "I'm not gonna be a snitch, I'm not calling anyone out. I'll call myself out," but I was like, "That's the way it's gonna be for me." And the therapist looks at me and she goes, "Okay, Louder, that's fine, but I thought you wanted to leave prison an amazing person. And if you can't set boundaries with people, you'll never be able to leave a prison an amazing person." And I looked at those girls and I go, "I'm coming for all of you. Just so you know." Like, I care more about myself. I care
Right,
about you, but I care more about myself.
right.
And that's when like, I love my husband and I love my kids, but I have to take care of me, number 1. If I don't, I lose
That's
everything.
true.
I lose
That's
everything. Yeah.
100% true. So, like, you know, um, when you're growing up and, you get told, like, "You're so selfish, you're so right? But there's nothing wrong with being selfish in the right way,
Right. When you just really
right?
value yourself and
Exactly.
you hold yourself to these standards, that's
Yeah.
what it's about, you
If you
know?
can't love you or take care of you or respect you or like you, how are you gonna do that for anybody else in your life?
Right.
How are you gonna do that?
Right.
Because you can't. Because your life is a wreck.
Right.
And if you don't decide that you wanna change it for you and you're too worried about caring about other people, there's nothing wrong with caring about other people. But when you're too worried about putting other people before you,
You lose yourself.
yeah, and there's something wrong there. There's something definitely hugely wrong there. And that's what I had to come to terms with as well this time. You know what? Like, this isn't about nobody but me,
Yeah, it's gotta be.
period.
Not the other homies, not
Yep.
the
Nope.
so, I'm curious, is it, like, for real? Is this change, like, so crazy real?
Yeah,
Crazy.
no, she went crazy.
She's been with you for 18 years. I love this. Like, my husband's rode out some pretty rough years,
Yeah,
and we are
she
living our best life.
and so are
And
we in an apartment, but we're living it.
yeah,
I
I love
love
it.
her. I love her,
I
man,
love
like,
that for you guys. It's
it's
so cool.
great. When I came home, she was like, "It's kinda, like, trippy, like, how mellow you are now," because she's not used to me being this mellow.
Yeah.
Just I just don't care, like, I don't care about the chaos, man. I don't care about none of that.
Yeah,
I try not to have conversations about that. The only person I have conversations about that with is, like, my best friend Chaz. He's my brother.
yeah,
That's my brother, you know?
yeah.
But it's, like, not on, like, a glorifying tip. We just, like, clown the situation. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And that is amazing dude right there. Shout
Yeah.
out to Chaz Branch. That was probably I'm telling you, that is probably one of the most solid people I've ever met in my life, dude. He's been my friend for 30 years.
Love that. Love that. So, you've been sober a few years. You knew when you left prison, you had every opportunity you coulda used while you were locked up, you
Right.
could use out here, and you just don't.
No.
No. And not because, like,
Well, so Suboxone drives me crazy.
okay, it's a problem.
Yeah, and like I said, never liked opiates. I'd
Yeah,
always been
it makes
terrified
me
of 'em.
sad because I think that it really dumbs you down. Like, I've been on Suboxone,
Typically, what I would do is, like, just take a little bit and go to sleep
Mhm.
or work out and then go to sleep.
Yeah,
However, it got to the point to where, like, because I wasn't taking it, like, every day, all day, right? But
right.
it got to the point where I'd take a piece and immediately I'd get box rage.
Mm. So it
Yeah.
messed with you.
Yeah, so I just quit.
I talk to guys every
Just quit
day that
doing it.
just say, "I don't wanna do this. I'm hooked on it and I wanna get off of it, and I can't."
Oh, yeah, I know people like that as well,
Yeah.
and it sucks to see that, like,
The cat's
this is
fine, by the
supposed
way.
to get you sober, right?
Mhm.
But no. What I don't care. I'll say it. What the government is doing is just getting you hooked on another drug.
Right.
That's a fact, but
Yeah.
it's approved by them, right?
Right.
I just wish that they could come out with something like that, but that wasn't addicting, right? Like this
Yeah.
helped you get off the drug, but you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
There's no come down. And it sucks that it's
Suboxone's
like
really hard
that,
to get off
right?
of is the thing.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, for me, value my sobriety. I'm so grateful for it. But
Mhm.
if they would have put me in federal prison and Suboxone would have been an option, I would have taken it because I'm an opiate addict. And I'm
Right.
so grateful it wasn't.
Right.
And so it
It's
makes me
facts.
sad now to see people that, like, you could have had 5 years clean. You could have been free, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
instead you're hooked. And
Yeah.
so that's a bummer.
And it's a great thing though, right? To be able to overcome that.
Oh yeah.
Heroin, meth,
All of it.
even it doesn't matter, whatever it is, it's a great thing to be able to overcome it, but it's a really sad thing when you do grow and you still see people, like, going through that addiction on
Oh,
Suboxone.
it's hard.
It sucks,
And it
man.
hurts my heart for him because
Right.
I feel a lot of compassion because I know what it feels
Yep.
like, it
And
sucks.
see, that's the one thing I've never felt until this, like, last time when I worked on changing myself, compassion and empathy, man.
Mhm.
Because I never cared. I
Yeah,
didn't care I
yeah,
about, like I say, anybody.
yeah,
And, when I taught myself to have those 2 things, it sucks seeing people like that. Like, I don't involve myself in their situation, but it hurts my heart seeing that.
yeah,
Now that I'm sober and I'm living my best life, like, I choose to get up and go to work, you know why? Because I love that money,
yeah.
and that
And
money
it's
pays bills.
legit.
Yeah,
It's not like the hustle money that never
yeah,
sticks around. It feels
exactly.
good when you get paid
I don't
and
gotta worry
you
about if I get pulled over, the cops, if they do see cash on me, like, "What's this cash from?" Like, $100, get out of here, dude.
I'd be running with a
Yeah.
couple grand if I
Yeah,
was
if
breaking the
I was
law.
doing some crazy stuff, like, stop. You know what I mean? All my wife's credit cards in my wallet and my credit cards, stop it right now. Hey, you've lost your mind. Are you
Oh,
high on anything right now? Yeah, life. You know? Like
love it. What would you
oh,
say to
man.
somebody who's still stuck in the system or can't see their way out, whether it's gang involved or addicted or just because you've been there. You've been there where you couldn't see life the way you have it now. What would you say to somebody to encourage them that it's possible?
What I say to somebody to encourage them as possible? Well, first of all, I would tell them that it is possible no matter what you think. But what I would tell them to try to, like, if they really so, like, they're in that, but they wanna get out,
Yeah.
what I would tell that person, I would say take a second. And what I mean by take a second is step back from everybody you're hanging out with. Like, Just step back and look around you. When you look around you, open your eyes. Yeah, your eyes are already open, but what I mean is open your eyes. Look around you. Look at the people around you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those people because I was that person, right?
Mhm.
What I'm saying is look at the people around you. Who you hang around with is who you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I love my homies, but I don't talk to them. And it's not because I don't love them. It's because I know that if I involve myself in that area of life, then I'll leave my family and my kids. And that's not what I want for myself. So take a second, take a step back, look at your surroundings and open your eyes and see that, yeah, they care about you in this moment, just this one.
Mhm.
What about all these other moments? What about over here? What about here? What about with you? Are they calling your family? Are they calling you? Or are they doing the things they promised? I'm not saying everybody doesn't, but I'm saying 9 times out of 10 they don't, right?
Mhm.
And so take a step back and open your eyes. If you really want to change, sit down and breathe and think about your life. Really think about it. Let it soak deep into your soul. It's not hard to do that. People think it's hard because they give themselves all these little excuses in their head and they think that that makes them fake, right? No. Take a step back and get real with yourself because if you don't, life will never get real for you, period. People think this up close in person and being violent and drinking and getting high as real. No, it's not. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not calling anybody fake. What I'm saying is that lifestyle is a facade because there's no happy ending to it,
Mm-mm.
period. End of story, chapter closed. And I closed that chapter because I woke up.
Mm. Think you should do a TED Talk. That's really powerful. Seriously.
It's a fact, though. It's a fact.
That's
Like,
why it's powerful because it's
if you
true.
cannot step back, and like I said, I reiterated it a few times. I'm not saying anything about the people. I'm saying what you're doing with your life is
Yeah.
fake. What you're doing to yourself and you thinking that you're happy, that's the biggest facade you ever told yourself in your life, and you're living it.
Mm.
And that sucks. I know because I was that person. I used to glorify my life. I'm a thug. I'm a G. I'll fight anybody. I pack guns and do this. Like, look, man, like when I stopped thinking that was cool, when I sat down and reality smacked me in the face, that's when my whole life changed.
Mm.
When I thought about what my kids are doing at home and what my wife and my kids are going through without me, my mother's getting older. I already lost my father and I was incarcerated. I'll be, dude, I'll be gosh dang if I'm gonna lose my mother, dude. Because my mom, aside from my wife, has been my rock.
Mhm.
We had a falling out some years back.
Mhm.
Not like a falling out, it was just a rough situation,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna put her on blast, but things happened.
Sure.
She's still my mama,
Oh, yeah.
and that woman held me down every single time I was in prison. My brothers, my aunts, my uncles, they don't even talk to me. They just ask her about me,
Mm.
which I don't like because 'cause I'm my older brother, I don't consider him my brother. That's my own problem. I'm not gonna get into that, but I still love him. He's my brother. He's my blood, right? However, I've never even done anything to my family, never hurt them, stole from them, brought anything to their houses or anything.
Yeah.
Kinda sucks. So my mom has been my best friend, and my wife has been my best friend, and I got a couple other people in my life that are actual friends that have been like my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like I said, my little brother, that's my baby. But when you really step back and look at your life, and what I mean by look, I mean, it's so I can explain it in so many ways, but it's just like, look, man, look, it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself. You're literally tearing apart everything in your life intentionally. If you can't see that, then something's wrong with you. And something was wrong with me for 34 years completely.
And yet, it's possible to completely turn it around in your evidence of that.
That's 1,000% fact, man.
Yep.
Everything is a choice. I choose to wake up and be happy even when I'm frustrated. I choose to leave work mad and come back and fix the problem, even though bad things over here were apparently said about me by somebody that I trusted in work, then finding out they weren't said about me, and the person that said them said that that guy said them to turn us against each other. But I'm too smart to let that happen to me now
Right. Now.
because I used to be that guy.
Right.
And when you wake up and you change your life, you're able to see these things and you're able to process things in the right way. Even if you're venting in an unhealthy way, as long as you don't act on the things you vent on or the things you think that are wrong,
Yeah.
then
I've
you've
learned
made
that.
progress in
You've
your
made
life,
progress.
man.
If you can allow the hard stuff to just pass through. And
Yeah.
I always say, like, I just don't want to do any damage when I'm feeling this way.
Right.
Just don't
Right.
want to do any damage. Like, even if I'm
But could you
upset,
tell yourself that before?
no. Like now, I love my husband, but like everyone has their moments, right? And I'm like,
Right.
and both of us will be in like a funk, and I'm like, okay, so whatever we do, we just don't want to hurt each other while we're here. Let's let
That's
this stuff pass through. So
that's
that,
tight, dude.
yeah,
That's gross. That's
it,
gross,
it is. Yeah.
same thing with me. Like, it's funny you said, same thing with me and my wife. Like, we haven't even like we've argued, but not like really since I've been home, right?
Yeah.
And when we get really mad at each other, like typically I'm on the phone because I'm at work,
Mhm.
This is how much we love each other, dude. I'm at work and I'm on the phone with her the whole time. She's in my ear. That's my best friend.
I love that for
I
you.
swear. She's in my ear the whole time. She's on my AirPods
Yeah.
the whole time, man. And like sometimes we just don't even say anything to each other for like a couple hours or
You
30
just
minutes.
you both
She's working, I'm working,
yeah.
she works from home and
That's
you
cute.
know, and the cool thing is when we do get mad at each other,
Mhm.
I'm like, I'll just call you later.
Yeah. You just can't do
And
any
even if
damage
she
here.
texts me angry, she doesn't speak in like she doesn't tear me down.
Yeah.
She just tells me why she's upset.
Because we're in each other's corner, right?
Exactly.
That's my number one cheerleader, and I'm his number one
And
cheerleader.
that's a
So it's like,
fact, dude.
it's okay,
That's a
kitty,
fact.
you're killing me. That cat's bringing me down. Besides
It's
cats,
in here
right?
attacking the thing.
Yeah.
It's all
Well,
right. It's all right. Special effects.
yeah. Thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
out. What a good interview. I really appreciate you sharing your story. Should have you and your wife come back out sometime because she probably has a really, if you're like my husband, he doesn't ever want to be on the camera. I talked him into it a time or two, but yeah, you
Oh,
have a special story.
she's probably got like a flip side to my story,
Yeah.
like on in her version
Yeah.
and if she wants to, we'll come back out, I mean, I like to come back out here anyway. She's like, "Oh my gosh, babe, it's so beautiful." I was like, "I know, how would it be?" To just wake up and look at the lake, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
nice out here.
Freaking Portia. No,
Well,
oh, anytime, man.
thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks for coming. And I love you in our group. Like I say, like we have the coolest thing going, and you're just everyone's in a different place and we help each other through it.
Right, and that's I think it's amazing, like, yeah, I think my group is the bee's knees, dude, like, we got an amazing group, but I think they're all amazing, even if people don't talk, because showing up, right, I think for me, like, honestly, that's more than half the battle,
Yeah.
even if there's not conversation, because even if you're sitting there staring at each
Just
other,
be
you're
there.
there.
Just show up. It's the
That's
step.
showing that you care about your sobriety, right? But what I did wanna say is shout out to everybody in Level Up, and especially Manny. When I shook that dude's hand, I wanted to say this, like, since we're doing this, because 'cause I've
Yeah.
said it in group and you've
Yeah.
heard it.
Yeah.
I never have shooken somebody's hand in my life, right? That the electricity that went through my body, I've never felt that, man. Like, I knew this guy was a good dude, and if I did know him before, thank God I didn't remember until now, because who knows, like,
You don't
how
remember
I
him
would
from
have
the
felt
street.
later on in life, right? I'm glad I know him like this because this dude is such a big motivation for me.
Yeah.
That's an amazing
He's
guy right there.
special, right? There's
Yes.
something about
No,
him.
for sure. And
I
he
love him.
makes me want to keep stepping forward in my life.
Yeah.
He's aside from my kids, my family, now him and Level Up are the reason I keep pushing as hard as I do.
Mm.
And to all the Level Up members that are maybe going to listen to this podcast, I hope everybody does.
Yeah.
Put my number on there sometimes. I'm not playing. I've proved it.
Yeah.
Felix and Dean's group has seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
You're really going through a struggle and I'm just sitting home and you really need some help, like you need me to pull up and help you, like you're rushing to a doctor's appointment, whatever the case is, I'll come pick you up, man. I have a car. But if you're really going through a struggle and you think you're going to pick up or whatever, this is just a friendly put out, like you guys can call me anytime. It doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah, I know. And I know you mean it. I've
I
watched
mean
you
that
in
with
the
all my
group.
heart. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I
Yeah.
care. I care about people.
I know you
'Cause
do.
trust and believe I'm going through it too.
I know you
I
do.
just kinda hide my pain a little different because I feel like my pain is my stepping stone. That's
Right.
how I put it
That's how
now.
Manny does too, though. You guys
Yeah.
have that. I see a lot of, I've been with Manny, like, and Missy on
I
their
love that
journey.
guy. I wanna hang out with him so I can pick his brain.
He's so special.
He's smart,
Yeah,
dude,
he
like,
is. He's very smart, yeah.
I wanna hang out with him so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna pick this dude's brain, like, I wanna learn about him, you know what I mean?
He's a really neat person.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
cool, man.
yeah. Shout out to Manny. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks so much, Dustin, and I'll see
Absolutely.
you next time on the Living Louder podcast.
That's right.